With Porsche supplying the majority of the 911 lineup with turbo power, you might be wondering, where does that leave the 911 Turbo? Well, the answer is in the exact same place as always, at the top. As the crown jewel among 911s, at least from a pricing perspective, the Turbo S is basically a mechanized superlative generator. There's just so much intensity behind every reaction that it feels as if the car is communicating to you with the caps lock on. Switch back to lowercase, and the Turbo S transforms into an utterly civilized, as well as unexpectedly practical daily driver. Aside from a generously sized front, it's got 2 back seats. Okay, they're very small seats, but it should make it easier to justify the Turbo, or any 911 for that matter, to the real heads of the household.
Can you say Porsche?
Porsche.
Huh?
Building on that point is a well-hushed cabin, a firm but nonetheless comfortable ride, and fantastic ergonomics. And that's something you rarely find in the world of Exotica. Alright, enough about practicality. Let's put the caps lock on. The 3.8-liter twin-turbocharged flat 6 is one of only a handful of high-output engines that, when wide open, doesn't feel like it's expending a great deal of energy to produce its power. It delivers all 580 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque in the most effortless way possible. And when we're talking about 0 to 60 times, the Turbo S is the field covered. As someone who clearly prefers circuits over drag strips, I feel the Turbo's launch control shouldn't be my favorite feature, but who could resist? This is insane. As my brain makes its way back to the center of my skull, I'll quickly mention that Porsche's 7-speed PDK gearbox is just as impressive as ever, if not more so. Unlike some competitive gearboxes, PDK skips the theatrics and clicks off gear changes as quickly as possible without any added drama. In other words, Porsche doesn't believe gear changes should be raw or unrefined just to make it feel like you're going faster. That's what an engine is for. Given its sophisticated all-wheel drive system, active aerodynamics, multi-mode adaptive suspension, and J-Lo haunches, it should come as no surprise that the Turbo S has incredible grip. Thanks to rear-wheel steering, the Turbo turns in with immediacy and tracks through high-speed corners with predictable ease. For those playing the numbers game, just know that it can pull more than 1G on a skid pad without race compound tires. Steering calibration and feel is, of course, right on the money. The same goes for the brakes. Ah, the brakes. I don't know how Porsche did it, but these carbon ceramics don't need heat in them to operate properly. From the moment you get behind the wheel, they just work. Circling back to the topic of sensation, both the Turbo and Turbo S share this uniquely uniform feel. With most cars, super or otherwise, a varying percentage of feedback is transmitted through the contact points. In this, the amount of information transmitted through the steering wheel, brakes, and seat is all the same. That special kind of attention to detail is pretty neat. That said, if the Porsche Turbo has a flaw, it's that it does everything almost too well. Yeah, I know it sounds a lot like the guy in an interview who says his one and only flaw is that he works too hard. But with this class of car, some buyers believe quirks build character. I don't, and if you agree, this is what near perfection will cost you. And it all begins just under $163,000, including destination fees, for the standard 911 Turbo. If you feel the extra juice is worth the squeeze, the higher performing Turbo S starts right around $191,000, though beyond the performance upgrades, the price also includes some additional standard equipment. For those fun in the sun types, both the Turbo and Turbo S cabriolets hold down a roughly $12,000 premium over their fixed roof compadres. Along with myriad customization options, key high-end trappings consist of Burmester audio, 18-way adjustable seats that are some of the most comfortable in the business, full-range adaptive cruise control, navigation tied to an ultra-fast touchscreen with Apple CarPlay integration, and the usual sprinkling of adaptive safety aids like pre-collision warning and blind spot monitoring. Naturally, the 911 Turbo line has some highfalutin company. Prime standouts consist of the all-wheel drive Audi R8 V10, the strikingly beautiful Aston Martin DB11, and the Mercedes AMG GTS. Yes, it may not be as flashy as traditional exotics. Well, maybe a little bit in this color. But look past the finish, and what you're left with is an elegantly understated supercar. A supercar built for the modest driving enthusiast who appreciates mechanical excellence and keeping a low profile. So while turbocharging is now prominent across the Porsche range, it's safe to say the 911 Turbo is just as exclusive as ever.